And welcome back to the Hot Lap, where probably not breaking news by the time you hear this, but Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes agree a contract extension until 2025 with the, well, 7-time world champion, aiming for 8, I'd imagine. But this is from Sky Sports. Hamilton will remain in F1 until the end of 25 after signing a new contract to stay at Mercedes. Now, Hamilton, the most successful Formula 1 driver of all time, with a record equaling 7 world titles plus the most wins in the sport, George Russell also stays with the team. Now, after months of speculation over his future, which included being linked about a month ago to a move to Ferrari, the 7-time world champion has committed to a deal that extends his racing relationship with Mercedes. Hamilton, 38 years old, is currently 4th in this year's championship. He's got 183 points, but he's a long way behind Max Verstappen. Now, Mercedes also officially confirmed that Hamilton's teammate George Russell will also remain with the team until the end of 2025. And I saw a video today of Martin Brundle basically saying that it's great, but it's a bit strange that both of them end in 2025. He says in some situations it's quite rare for both teammates to end at the same time, you know, especially when it's, I imagine, especially when it's kind of like long-term deals. So he then went on to say that potentially they have clauses in their contracts, options in their contracts to go further. I mean, we dream every day of being the best, and we have dedicated the past decade together to achieving that goal, Hamilton said, as Mercedes announced his deal. He goes on to say, being at the top does not happen overnight or over a short period of time. It takes commitment, hard work, and dedication, and it's been an honour to earn our way into the history books with this incredible team. After beginning his F1 career with McLaren in 07, Hamilton, as we know, moved to Mercedes in 2013, which was, I think, quite controversial. A lot of people thought they were making a mistake, him leaving McLaren, because Mercedes, I think in 2012, they had won a race maybe by that point, but they weren't the best. They weren't looking like they could be the best. Lo and behold, obviously they knew they had something special with that 2014 hybrid engine. But yeah, Hamilton moved to Mercedes at the start of 2013, and they have gone on to be the most successful driver-team combination in history. The Briton has won 6 of his 7 world titles with Mercedes, while the Silver Arrows claimed 8 consecutive Constructors' Championships between 2014 and 2021. And as we know, Hamilton has picked up 82 of his 103 wins at Mercedes. Hamilton has been saying our story isn't finished. As we know, he's currently tied with Michael Schumacher on 7 world championships, having seen the 2021 title snatched unfairly, let's be honest, because the rules weren't followed, away from him, where Max Verstappen wins his first, and in 2022 it's kind of like forget about it. So Hamilton said, we've never been hungrier to win. We have learnt from every success, but also every setback. We continue to chase our dreams. We continue to fight no matter what, and no matter the challenge, and we will win again. I'm grateful to the team who have supported me both on and off the track. Our story isn't finished. We are determined to achieve more together, and we won't stop until we do. I mean, motorsport.com, on that story, it's got something interesting saying what's behind Hamilton's new F1 deal. And he cited Abu Dhabi 21, Tom Brady turning 40, I think is the headline. So Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes have finally signed the Britain's latest racing contract, which will keep him at the team until 2025. Now it says, barring a shock twist, such as injury or worse, Hamilton intends to extend his time at Mercedes through to the 2024 and 25 seasons, in the process competing in a total of what will be 13 seasons. And that's 2 more than the current record holder of 11, which he currently shares with Michael Schumacher, after the German raced with Ferrari between 96 and 2006. Hamilton already leads in terms of record number of races started for a single team. That's 213 starts for Mercedes. Schumacher has 180. And famously, the Hamilton-Mercedes partnership is one of the sport's big success stories. 82 wins and 72 poles as part of that, its announcement of its 2-year deal. Plus, as we know, George Russell also extending. going into this weekend's Grand Prix, and that's the Italian Grand Prix. So just an hour after that news was revealed, Hamilton faced the media in the official press conference at Monza, where he expanded on those intentions. And he said the initial main takeaway was his comment that he and Mercedes have unfinished business left. Also hanging in the air were the memories of the, as we mentioned, the Abu Dhabi controversial end. And when asked what he meant by unfinished business, Hamilton replied, "We're trying to win more world championships, and I think that the unfinished business is getting us back to the top. It's getting back and fighting for world championships. We've been the most successful team in history and the most successful one in the past 10 years or whatever, but it's been a challenge this past year, and as we know, Mercedes kind of really messed up its designs." So he says, "So I think it's getting us back to where we belong, operating on all cylinders." It's a slightly distracting advert there. But Hamilton insisted that regarding his 21 loss, he's vowed that in early 22, on which he had vowed in early 22, if you think what you saw in 21 was my best, wait until you see this year. And then we had the W13. Yeah, oh dear. But he said it's not about redemption. We know it's in the past. There's nothing you can do about the past. But what we can do is work harder, be more precise, and be better moving forward. And I truly believe that with this team, we can win more world championships together. That's where all my energy is going. So, I mean, that's the biggest news, isn't it? That massive news going into Monza, but it's Monza, so let's have it's our Monza F1 preview show. So let's have a bit of Ferrari, shall we? It's not that they have a magic bullet. Vasseur outlines what it will take to reel in Red Bull over the second half of the season. And this is on Formula1.com. Ferrari team boss Vasseur, he's expressed optimism that current pace setters Red Bull can be caught, claiming marginal gains in every single pillar of performance will be the key. But as we know, Red Bull has absolutely dominated this year, winning every race. And nearest rivals Mercedes are now 285 points adrift, followed by Aston Martin and then Ferrari, who have had a really up and down season with their car. Now, asked about this year's titles being out of reach and what would represent a successful second half of the year to Ferrari, Vasseur said, "For sure, if you have a look on the numbers, it's quite difficult to imagine we could be champions on the champions on the team and drivers, and on champions." On the team and drivers in relation talking about the championship. But he said, we need to keep the same mindset, to try to get the best on every single weekend, not to be focused on the championship. We have to improve the package, and also to improve what we are doing on track, to try to get the best from the package that we have is where we have to be focused. Oh my God, I'm just distracted by that massive crash by Robert Kubica. Sorry, I don't want to fix a target to say we have to do this. As long as we have room for improvement, we have to be 100% focused on this. It's clear that on every single topic and every single pillar of performance, we need to take a step forward. And here is our Italian Grand Prix. I mean, as we know, the first race in the Italian Grand Prix was in 1950. Circuit length in kilometres at least is 5.793. Number of laps 53. Lap record Barrichello in 2004 on a 121.046. Now, the interesting thing here is it's also one of the shortest races of the year in terms of time. I think below potentially the 1 and a half hour mark. When was it? As we know, the track built was constructed in just 110 days in 1922. The full name is the Autodromo Nazionale Monza, and it was the world's third purpose-built track, coming after Brooklands in the UK and Indy in the US. So it is the oldest track that F1 races on then. Like those two tracks, the original circuit featured a daunting series of bank curves as well as much of the outfield section that's still in use today. Its first Grand Prix it opened its doors in 1922, just a week before it hosted that year's Italian Grand Prix, and it was then part of the original F1 calendar in 1950 and has held the Italian Grand Prix every year bar one since. The circuit is rapid, it says. As we know, it's the fastest circuit on the calendar now. I think even with Hockenheim, because Hockenheim had that infield section, the old Hockenheim, the best Hockenheim, let's say. So Williams driver won Pablo Montoya's lap of 260.6, that was in qualifying, during practice for the 2004 Grand Prix, which would give you, that's an average speed of 260.6 kilometres an hour. Absolutely mental. Crazy. That is crazy speeds. Cars are on the throttle for 80% of the lap and hit their VMAX on the circuit's 1.1 kilometre straight, start-finish straight. From there, they roar off into the historic park section where a series of big stops and tight chicanes give the brakes a good workout. Now, anyone going, where is the best place to watch, it says? Aim for the Grandstand Variante del Ritafiglio to witness the awesome spectacle of cars braking from around 350 to just 70 before negotiating the tight chicane, which is one of the track's best overtaking spots, as well as a magnet for first lap tussles. So, anyone wants to know, that's the start-finish straight, and we're looking here. There's potentially one of the best places to sit. So, we've got 2 DRS detection zones as well. Normally, it's if you look on the going into the DRS detection zone 2 and where that purple speed trap is, that is going to be your best chance to overtake because that's your biggest stop. The other DRS detection zone, just after lap 7, between turn 7 between turn 7 and turn 8, because you're going, as you see the yellow sector 38 and 9, because you're going into quite a fast corner, you really need to be more like pretty much alongside them, or more than alongside them. At least in here, in turn 1 and 2, you can kind of like outbrake them. Now, the weather last time I checked was pretty much sunny. Potential rain for the race is what they're saying. At the moment. Now, in terms of who's going to do well, we kind of played on that on our It's Race Day preview, I think, didn't we? But in terms of who is going to do well, you have to have a look at Red Bull. They've been the fastest car in a straight line. I imagine it's going to be somewhat similar. It's probably going to be a Red Bull 1 and 2. You'd really expect Perez here to at least finish second. Maybe he can absolutely step it up and beat Max here. I mean, and give us an interesting race. We've had interesting victories. We had Danny Ricciardo winning here in 2021, and we had I think 2020 was it? But we did have obviously Gasly in the AlphaTauri win here with McLaren, I think, second as well. And interesting, in 2021, we had that coming together between Verstappen and Hamilton. But I don't think that would have changed the McLaren 1-2 result, because I think McLaren had nailed the strategy there, and Ricciardo would have been ahead of both of them anyway. And that was really interesting. That was a really interesting race. So that's basically the track layout. Now, I expect Red Bull to dominate. What's going to be interesting is who is going to be second. I mean, Aston Martin have come on strong when you look at the last race in Zandvoort, albeit that is a very different track, isn't it? Also, we are going to be looking at not only Zandvoort, we've got being strong there. We've got McLaren, who are strong at Zandvoort, but as in Spa, I think, as I mentioned, they were struggling a bit with their straight line speed with that wing. So you have to wonder. I think it is a question mark how good McLaren are going to be. They've proved us wrong so far, haven't they? So Williams, with their epic straight line speed, you'd expect probably to go quite well. Albon should really be well within that top 10. Can he qualify as high as fourth? Wouldn't that be amazing if we could get a Williams on the podium? And if you remember last year, this was Nick de Vries's crowning glory to get him into AlphaTauri. But unfortunately, it didn't really happen after that, did it? Poor guy coming into this year. Did he really get a fair crack at the whip? Well, I don't know. And we've got Lawson. This will be his first full race weekend. And, well, what can I say? If the last weekend was anything to go about, he did absolutely fantastic, I think. So I think people will be thinking there's probably more pressure on him now as well, going into the Monza weekend. So, but there we go. If we've got latest, I mean, Formula One. As we know, Hamilton signed the new deal. You've got obviously the race warm up is on YouTube, where Formula One does their warm up. Let's quickly look at the timings of the Italian Grand Prix. And oh wow, they got like a whole world one, haven't they? There. So there we go. In Montreal, it's 9 a.m, and the race start time in London is going to be 2:00. Amsterdam is 3:00. Barcelona is 3. A lot of Europe is going to be 3:00. Sao Paulo, 10:00. Melbourne is going to be 11:00. I mean, there you go. Perth is going to be 9:00. Auckland is 1:00 in the morning. Who knew? Who knew? But there we go. That is that is essentially the Italian Grand Prix preview. We will be talking about the practice come Friday evening. Stay tuned.